kind of dealt with that, daddy issues. I was there, but my uncles were there, and they were there to be there to support me. My granddad was, my Uncle George. They was just always there, So I always had a father figure. But that it's just that saying to say that you kind of marry your dad, and I did the first time. I married my dad. He was just like him. But I went on, and I got a divorce, and I moved back home with my grandparents. So I was just doing the everyday life, going out with my friends, going to church, got it all figured out, being a youth pastor, just doing everything that I wanted to do. Well, Miss Ellis, I met this guy. And when I met this guy, my granddad, I was actually at work. And my granddad called me. He said, "Hey, I'm going to buy me a new car." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'm going to buy me a new truck." I said, "Okay." He said, but I had the spare key. Well, when I got off work, he said, "Drop the spare key off at this car dealership."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, I can do that." Well, I dropped the key off at the car dealership, and it was this guy that came out. And he said, "Hey, can I take you out tonight?" I said, "Yeah." Just, not doing anything, just going out on a friendly date. Miss Ellis, I dealt with this guy for about 2.5 years, on and off, just narcissistic ways.
Oh, wow.
I just kind of dealt with it. And in the back of my mind, like, if you came to a marriage, will you deal with this or would you not deal with it? So I'm saying, okay, all right, well, he made good money. Those car salesmen make a lot of money.
They do.
And so I said, okay, well, he makes a lot of money. He buys me nice things. So I think I got it all together. I think I can work through the kinks. We think we can figure it out.
We can figure it out.
So one day I was in church, and my aunt wrote me this letter, Rhonda, Bishop Rhonda. She wrote me this letter. She said, "Hey," she said, "God's going to bless you with somebody. He's going to be good to you." She said, "Just wait on it." I said, "Okay, all right." I'm thinking, this is my guy. I'm rejoicing. I done got my shout on. I done did everything. Well, one gloomy day, I was in my car just riding, and went to Kroger gas station, and my car quit. So I called him. "Hey, I'm down here at Kroger, and my car is." So he said, "Well, it's Saturday. I can't leave the dealership. I'm trying to make deals." I was like, "Okay." So I called my Aunt Rhonda to my rescue always. She said, "Okay, I'll be right there." Well, she came, and we waited for the tow truck to come, and they towed my car to the dealership where he worked.
Okay.
And that was Toyota. Okay, well, he says, "You give me he said, "I'll drive your car when it gets fixed, and you just drive my truck."
Okay.
I said, "Okay. All right, this is going good. This is going great. Everything is working out." We want the average woman wants her man to drive her car, and she wants to drive his car. Okay. So I said, "Okay, all right, that'll work fine for me." So then just something just like just clicked on, saying, something is just not right. It's just a good feeling. I have a spirit of discernment, so I know when things are not right. Well, I got in the car. He had these calls. You had a car phone, so he had these calls on the phone, on the car phone, and it was this lady. So I said, "Jot down the number." So I called her back. I said, "Who is this?" She said, "Oh," she told me her name. I said, "Okay." So when I took his car back, I said, "Well, you already got something going on. Just keep it that way. I'm just gonna move on." That day, it was around roughly about 4:00. I'm talking to my aunt. I normally talk to her every single day, 5, 6 times, 7 times a day. We're always on the phone. We call each other. She called me on her lunch. That's just what we do. That's my aunt. She's like my mom. That was my mom's sister.
Absolutely.
So He goes to his home,
Mm-hmm.
and I go there, and so he had this key. So he left his name tag and his key in my car.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Well, meet me at your house, and I'll give your key back."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he said, "Okay." So Miss Alice, he took my key, he took my keys, he
Mm-hmm.
took my purse, he took my phone, he took everything from me. Left my car in the middle of the road.
Oh no.
Took me by I had like a little suit, like a little sit on. Took me by, he said, "Oh, you just come on in the house and we'll talk. I'll give you your things back when we get done talking."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay." Miss Ellis, he beat me.
No.
Yes. All night long.
Oh no.
For something so small
Mm-hmm.
to turn into something so big.
Wow.
And that night, all I can remember is asking God,
Mm-hmm.
"God, if you get me out of this,
Mm-hmm.
I won't ever be back in this." I just kept asking God that.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, I could hear my phone ringing.
Mm-hmm.
And he would pick it up. "Oh, that's your aunt. Oh, that's your grandmother."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm normally, they're not used to missing me like this. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I miss their call, they're
Mm-hmm.
texting me, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll call them back in an allotted time.
Right.
All that night, Miss Alice, he
Jesus.
beat me.
Oh my
He
God.
tormented me.
Mm-hmm.
He spit on me.
Oh my God.
He drugged me. I'm just, it was just the worst feeling
Mm-hmm.
and the worst traumatic experience that I had to ever endure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up, I had saw my mom,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my dad beat my dad, you know, actually abused my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but she got out.
Right.
You know, and as a little girl, I would always say I would never,
Uh-huh.
ever,
Mm-hmm.
ever, ever go through
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But that particular night, I just kept thinking, like, "Lord, if you just please get me out of this, you know, I'll never, ever be back."
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next morning, the sun was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Lord," I said, "please just release me."
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I said, "Listen," said, "my grandma, uncle got to preach today
Mm-hmm.
at two churches. We got church at our church. We
Mm-hmm.
got to go to another church." I said, I need to go." "Oh, no, you're not going anywhere." I took a deep breath. I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm going. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going." Because my faith, it was going to get me
Mm-hmm.
out of it. But
Mm-hmm.
at that particular time,
Mm-hmm.
it was a fight,
I
you
got you.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt always say, "God will create a storm to bless you."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Yeah, so I'm going to get out."
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, I said, "Well, if you have somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
just let me go. Just let
Mm-hmm.
me be free."
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "No." He said, "Well, I don't have anybody else. Let's just call her." He gave me my phone,
Mm-hmm.
got the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got the phone, he told me the number.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew the number because I
Right.
seen the number.
Right.
So got the number. So I said, "Hello." I said, "Hey, this is Charnay."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Good morning."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I was just who who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, I'm his girlfriend." She said, "No, that's not what I heard."
Mm.
I said, "Okay." By the time I had one hand in my phone ending the call, he slapped me to the floor. I had braids that were like knotless
Mm-hmm.
braids,
Mm-hmm.
not the box braids, but
Mm-hmm.
they were all the
Oh.
way down my back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, he drugged me by my braids from room to room. And all I could see, if it, you know, in the floor, I would look up into his eyes. It was just like red. It
Mm-hmm.
was just like the devil. It was so demonic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I kept screaming like, Lord, please help me." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "There's no need to call on the Lord now." And so he got to the end of the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long hallway. It was like room to room. And he got to the end of the hallway. He
Mm-hmm.
just let me go.
Mm-hmm.
I got up and I ran in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
My braces
Mm-hmm.
were in bed. It was like my lip was embedded into my braces,
Oh my.
and blood was just running down my face because he had slapped me. I know that he slapped me more than 60 times. It was about the tools, front with hand, back with hand, front with hand, back with hand. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Lord,
So, what triggered him was the fact that you knew about this other lady that.
yes,
So that triggered him into this
yes,
rage.
yes. So when I got to the end of the hallway, I got up and ran in the bathroom. I saw that I couldn't get my lip. It was like under. My lip was under my teeth, under my braces. It was embedded. It was hooked. And I was trying to move it, like motion.
Yes.
And it was just like blood just running down my face. I'm like, oh my God, Lord. And so, and I'm calling on the name of Lord. I'm just not exaggerating. I'm saying, like, Lord, you got to
Absolutely.
get me out of this. So we go to the back. So he is standing outside, and I go to the rail, and so I say, "Help! Help! Somebody help me!" This is 6 o'clock in the morning, like maybe 5:50. But at this particular time, it's daylight savings, so it's light outside. So I'm screaming, "Help! Help! Somebody help me!" I was holding on to the rails. It was 3 steps. I said, "Somebody help me, help me." No one came. He had his phone. He was on the phone with the girl the whole entire time. Yes. So he was telling her, "Oh, I'm about to call the police." I had braids that were like knotless braids, not the box braids, but they were all the way down my back. I'm telling you, he drugged me by my braids from room to room. And all I could see, if it, in the floor, I would look up into his eyes. It was just like red. It was just like the devil. It was so demonic. And I kept, "Let me go. Just let me be free." So he said, "No." He said, "Well, I don't have anybody else. Let's just call her." He gave me my phone. Got the phone. And when I got the phone, he told me the number. So I already knew the number because I seen the number.
Right.
So got the number. So I said, "Hello." I said, "Hey, this is Charnay." I said, "Good morning." I said, "I was just, who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm his girlfriend." She said, "No, that's not what I heard." I said, "Okay." By the time I had one hand in my phone ending the call, he slapped me to the floor. I had braids that were like knotless braids, not the box braids, but they were all the way down my back. I'm telling you, he drugged me by my braids from room to room. And all I could see, in the floor, I would look up into his eyes. It was just like red. It was just like the devil. It was so demonic. And I kept screaming like, "Lord, please help me." He said, "There's no need to call on the Lord now." And so he got to the end of the hallway. It was a long hallway. It was like room to room. And he got to the end of the hallway. He just let me go. I got up and I ran in the bathroom. My braces were embedded. It was like my lip was embedded into my braces. And blood was just running down my face. Because he had slapped me. I know that he slapped me more than 60 times. It was about the tools. Front with hand, back with hand, front with hand, back with hand. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Lord.
So, what triggered him was the fact that you knew about this other lady that.
Yes.
So that triggered him into this rage.
Yes. So when I got to the end of the hallway, I got up and ran in the bathroom. I saw that I couldn't get my lip. It was like under. My lip was under my teeth, under my braces. It was embedded. It was hooked. And I was trying to move it, like motion.
Yes.
And it was just like blood just running down my face. I'm like, oh my God, Lord. And so, and I'm calling on the name of Lord. I'm just not exaggerating. I'm saying, like, Lord, you got to
Absolutely.
get me out of this. So we go to the back. So he is standing outside, and I go to the rail, And so I say, help, help, somebody help me. This is 6 o'clock in the morning, like maybe 5:50. But at this particular time, it's daylight savings, so it's light outside. So I'm screaming, help, help, somebody help me. I was holding on to the rails. It was 3 steps. I said, somebody help me, help me. No one came. He had his phone. He was on the phone with the girl the whole entire time. Yes. So he was telling her, oh, I'm about to call the police. She's doing this, she's done that. Not even mentioning that what you done to me for me to get here.
Right.
Taking all my stuff, trying to put my mind in a place that we're going to talk about this. So I'm like, okay, well, he was on the phone and he had the phone down in his hand. I hit the phone and he pushed me back on the step, pushed me back. And I was holding the rails and I was screaming, help, help, somebody help me. He was pushing me, just pushing me, kept pushing me back, but I never moved. I was holding the rails. He reached down and he bit my arm, left bite mark.
Oh my God.
I started screaming and started jumping up and down. And by this time, he picked the phone. His phone had fell. And he picked the phone up. And when he picked the phone up, he was trying to, because the phone had broke. And he was trying to look to see what was going on with his phone. And something said, Sharnae, run. So all I could see was a door that was, it was a kitchen, and when I got back off the step, it was a kitchen, and then it was a living room, but it was a straight way to the door. And all I could think about was him coming behind me, but it was like, run. So one of the church members that goes to my church, but she was like affiliated with my church, it's like a sister church.
Okay.
She lived down the street. So I'm like, if I could just get to her house, I know I'll be safe. So I ran down the steps. He had the steps. It was like 3 steps. So I ran out of the driveway and I went to the first house, knocked on the door. I don't have any clothes on. It's just me and my braids. That's it. So I'm knocking at this lady's door. I'm a black girl and nothing on but braids, and I'm just knocking. Boom, boom, boom.
And bleeding.
She didn't bleeding.
Yes.
She didn't answer. So I said, okay. So I'm looking. I'm like, okay, well, which way should I go now? Because at this point, he's probably running through the house looking for me, but I'm not there. So I said, something just said, stay there. Okay, well, I hit on her door again. She didn't answer. Like, okay. So I rung the doorbell. She didn't answer. I hit the ring, and this little dun dun dun. And as soon as I hit that ring, she opened the door. And her eyes were so big, she started shaking. It was like her phone was in her hand. She was just shaking. I said, ma'am, can I please call my aunt? Not the police. I'm talking about call my auntie right now. I got to talk. I know she's going to come to my rescue. So I'm like, I said, I need to call her. She said, no, ma'am, I need to call the police. I said, well, ma'am, you can do whatever you want to do after this. I said, but let me just call my aunt, because I knew that she had been looking for me all night. And it was not me to not answer the phone, and you haven't talked to me since 5 that day, and this is 5 the next morning.
Oh, absolutely.
So I said, let me call my aunt. I call my aunt. She normally answers the phone, but she doesn't answer on the first ring. She answered the phone. I said, hello. I said, hey, I'm here. This place, come now. She came. Well, they called the police. Not even 2 seconds. I said, he came out the driveway. Oh, she's dead. She's dead. She's a liar. Now, mind you, my car is still sitting in the middle of the street, not on the side, in the middle of the street. In the middle. So I'm like, okay. Well, he's saying all this stuff. So the police came. When they came, and so my aunt had pulled up, and so the police was looking at me in the state that I was in. The lady gave me like a quilt. And I wrapped the quilt around me, and the police, but you know how that flight, freeze, and fight mode, I was in the freeze mode. And so he was talking to me, but I couldn't talk back. And so my aunt just immediately started praying. And so when she started praying, I started talking. And so I started telling him, you know, everything, like I'm telling you, like everything that was going on and everything that had went on. And so he was out on the street. And so he was in the front of the lady's house. Well, he was telling her all he was just saying all this old narcissistic stuff, like it was my fault.
Yeah.
So he ended up going to jail.
Okay.
Well, the police was like, okay, we're going to call an ambulance for you, but let's go and find her clothes. Okay. Well, we went, the officer went, it was 2 officers that came. The other officer went to the house. He said, her clothes are nowhere. We can't find them. So I said, okay, I said, well, I don't know where they are because he took them from me. He took my purse. He took everything. So I'm saying, I mean, I don't know. So he said, well, I'll go back again. Went back again. Then he came back and got me. He just so happened to go outside and look around the house. He had thrown my things on the wood in the woods beside his house.
Oh, wow.
So Miss Alice, his every intent was to kill me. Not to just beat me up and leave me there. You were about to kill me.
Literally, yes.
Yes. So we left, went to the hospital. Around this time, it's about 7:00. He's calling me from jail.
No.
Leaving me voicemail. So I'm like, you know, it's nothing I can do today because today it's Sunday.
Right.
I'm beat up. I'm bruised. I'm broken. I'm beat down. Like, I'm literally down for the count. Like, I don't have nothing
physically
left
and mentally.
Yes.
Yes.
It's